What's up, everybody? Thank you so much for finding the channel. My name's RJ, also known as LiquidMusicEnt, over on this purple app they call it Twitch. I appreciate everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. We have a great interview for you this month. Last December, at the end of 2025, we got to sit down with Arkaya _DJ, which was a fantastic time to sit down and talk about her life in Brisbane, her new adventures as a DJ, and being a twin mom. I mean, I'm a twin dad, so we had a lot in common. We got to sit down and talk about a lot of that great stuff. But before we get to that, I just want to say, everybody, thank you so much for supporting the channel. We did a lot of these. I think we did almost 24. We almost did this for almost 2 years, every single month for that long. And for 2026, we have a new adventure starting very soon. We're still going to do the interviews, but on an intermittent basis, depending on who we find, who wants to sit down with us, all that kind of stuff, interesting stuff. But we have something brand new showing up in 2026, which is not announced yet, but you'll see it. We'll announce it here on this channel, so you can go check it out on the other channels that we're building as well. So thank you so much for the support of all these great interviews and all the time that you got to spend with us every single month doing these interviews. If you want to go check our stream out, we're over on twitch.tv/liquidmusicent, or check out the description below for Arkaya _DJ over on Twitch. You gotta go check her out live. She plays some great music and is awesome to hang out with, and she's very interactive and all that kind of stuff. But this is different because she didn't get to have to DJ for us during this interview. We got to sit down and get to know her a little bit more. So I just want to say thank you so much. Please like and subscribe to this channel. We've done everything we can to build this channel, and the more you like, the more you comment, the more you subscribe to the channel, more pushes these interviews and so much more to come in the near future in 2026. So thank you so much. Let's go ahead and jump in 30 seconds into the video. Oh, I forgot. Before we jump into 30 seconds of the video, we interviewed Arkaya on our 5-year anniversary. So the setup is a little bit different than some of the other interviews. You have this little bit-a-thon or this little subathon thing that's right when we started the stream. So a little bit different. So if you see that tracker right dab in the middle of the interview, you know exactly what's going on. So I appreciate everybody for donating and doing the subs, doing the bits, all that kind of stuff during this stream. And I appreciate everybody for supporting the channel for so long, and we're going to continue to do it. So once again, like I said, like and subscribe, go over there and check out twitch.tv/liquidmusicent. Now we jump in. Now we jump in 30 seconds into the video. So I appreciate you. Thank you so much. And we'll see you on the other side of the channel. Thank you so much. Peace.
Welcome CBC GWUN.
Hey, what's up, everybody? We're recording this live for YouTube. Welcome in, everybody. Thank you so much. And for everybody that's seeing this for the first time, that's not here in chat, we've been going live for just a few hours here, and we're about to introduce you to a great freaking streamer that's freaking awesome as shit. Under the shout outs, make sure you put her DJ stream as well, because her DJ stream is where we're going to bring everybody. She just hit 1,000 viewers, so we're going to talk about that here in just a little bit here. But for everybody that's here, thank you so much. Good to see everybody. Thank you so much. For everybody that has no idea what this is going to be here, you're catching this on YouTube, is because when we're recording this, it was our 5-year anniversary. We're celebrating the holidays with that, and we're doing everything we can to bring people in and have a good time, give away some stuff here. So if we do reach any of those goals doing our stream or during our interview here, we're going to definitely be doing that a little bit later on. So if you missed this live, you missed it live. That's up to you. But before we get started here, I wrote down an interview. I wrote down this intro for Arkaya, and I want to make sure that we do a good job introducing her. So and I really suck at reading some things, so I appreciate it. So here's what I wrote for her. I said, all right, everybody, tonight is a real special night. We're welcoming someone who brings heart, strength, creativity, and straight up fire energy into everything she touches. She's not just a streamer. She's a storyteller through music, a creator through design, and a powerhouse behind the scenes of real life. She's coming to us all the way from Brisbane, Australia, and she's been building a name for herself as a DJ, performer, and community leader, blending passion, resilience, and rhythm into something very unforgettable. She's a full-time mom of 3, a warrior of life's toughest battles, and someone who proves every single day that you can be strong, creative, and still lift others while you rise. From turning pain into power, stress into strength, and chaos into art, she's living proof that heart and hustle can live in the same space. Tonight, we're diving into her world, the beats, the battles, the beautiful moments, and the rare behind-the-scenes stories you don't hear every day. So, Chan, if you're ready, make some noise for a woman who does it all and shows up with love. Thank you so much. Let's go ahead and welcome you and welcome Arkaya to the co-host chair. There she is. Welcome, everybody. Thank you so much. Hi, by the way. Good to see you.
Thank you for having me, RJ. That was quite the intro.
I try to write something great for everybody. So, I mean, you know.
Oh, I appreciate it.
Oh,
Thank you.
goodness.
Thank you for having me, and happy affiliate anniversary once again.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much. We have so many people in chat. Thank you, everybody, for hanging out. Thank you so much. And for everybody that's here. Before we get started, I know we talked about this every time for everybody that comes in and does these interviews. We do tell you most of the questions because we all know it's not a gotcha kind of conversation back and forth. It's more of like, hey, we want to get to know you, and we want to make sure that we talk about the right things that you want to talk about, all that kind of stuff. So we're going to do this for a little bit, and then we're going to do a lightning round that you've never seen before. And then for everybody that's in chat, if you're checking this on YouTube, you're going to miss the best parts because then after the lightning round, we give the sites, we sign off, and then we get to hang out with chat, and we get to let loose and kind of like talk and do all that kind of stuff that you don't get anywhere else. So if you want to see this later on in the future or can catch a co-host later on, make sure you come in and check one of these out live. So as we're recording this, let's talk about you for a little bit, get to know you before we get to the great categories that are above us here. So let me ask you something here. Why did you even get started streaming in the first place? Let's start there.
Good question. Right off the bat. So I didn't actually anticipate that I would start streaming as soon as I did. I think it was sort of an idea that quickly became a reality, and I think that was mostly due to Cheese getting a lot more established than we thought. And so he pretty much was a behind-scenes tech guy. He told me that, oh, like you should start DJing, and we should just, record your journey and just see where it goes. I ended up buying my first controller, and pretty much 3 weeks prior, Cheese actually started my DJ account on Twitch. I didn't think I was going to be using it though. So it was like, 3 weeks later, I bought my first controller. I finally got a desk for it, set it up, and I started, just twigging away with like the first just first time playing with it. And before I knew it, Cheese was like, oh, by the way, we're streaming. I was like, what?
I mean, so glad I'm dressed for this. Yeah.
Oh, we're just streaming. But he told me like, oh no, we can't start streaming until like Christmas. There's no way we're going to be ready until Christmas.
Yeah.
But that was 6 months ago.
Yeah.
So the whole starting to stream side of it, it was sort of, I guess, off the bat. It wasn't something that we anticipated, and we just sort of went with it.
Yeah. Well, I think if you get to the mentality, and we've seen this with a lot of streamers, if you get the mentality of we'll start doing this when we're ready, you never do it. So it kind of gets to the point where it's kind of like, okay, do we want to do this? Do we not want to do this? All that kind of stuff. So I think once you're somewhat ready, you just do it and see what happens. Then you evolve from there. Because I mean, you never know what's going to happen. And if you keep putting it off and putting it off, you'll never do it. So that is freaking fantastic. So then what? I mean, obviously nobody really goes by their real names on Twitch and things like that. So how did you come up with the screen name or the username for Twitch?
So I guess this phase of my life was about, I guess, closing a chapter and starting a new one. It was very much, who do I want to be going forward? What did I want to realign with, I guess? And for me, it was important to sort of, because of everything I'd been through prior, it was about, realigning with the person I wanted to be moving forward.
Mhm.
The name Arkaya was one of those things that essentially it stood for things that I wanted to realign myself with.
Yeah.
Essentially, it was that fresh start. It means inspiration, healing, and again, healing.
Yeah. Oh, very much. So,
Which
yeah.
I felt was very important moving forward. So that's how the name Arkaya came to be.
So when did it decide to go, okay, no, okay, we got all this stuff, we're buying all this kind of stuff. Are we buying it for streaming, or are we buying it for yourself for that healing?
For me, it was very much it was an extension of my creative outlets. For me, managing my stress, it was very much, channeling into my creative side.
Yeah.
So I guess, growing up, I was always very much into music. But because I grew up in a very conservative religious household, it wasn't encouraged.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
So like, I mean, going right back to like LimeWire days and things like that. I was always, ahead of like, the new releases and the music that was coming out and mixing my own CDs and things. But I had parents that used to get hold of my CDs and rip them apart.
Oh no. Yeah.
So I think for like the longest time, I guess, I was told no, and I just let it go. But I think I revisited that, like, obviously later on into my adult life, because I wasn't ready to just forget about it. I wanted to give myself an opportunity to obviously delve into it and see where it would go.
Hey, Crit Pirate, thank you so much for the raid. I truly appreciate you. Thank you so much for coming in here. We're sitting down. Everybody that comes in, thank you so much. If you're brand new to the channel, thank you so much. My name's RJ. We're sitting down with Arkaya DJ. Make sure you're dropping a follow on her because she's freaking entertaining and awesome. We're learning a lot more about her right now. So in this instance, thanks so much, Crit. I met him at TwitchCon, so it's freaking super awesome. So expanding that creativity and getting there. So then you decided, okay, I want to expand the creativity by buying this controller and doing that kind of stuff, and because of what he's doing and what you're doing, you both are like, let's both DJ at the same time, or kind of like doing different things, or what separates you from what he does versus what you do?
So we have very different DJ styles.
Very much
I'm
so.
guessing you're referring to Cheese.
A little bit both. Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, so he started like 20 years prior.
Yeah.
So he was pretty much old school when it came to DJing. He had one of the old Pioneer Wigo 3 controllers, but it's one of those old controllers and a lot of the functions didn't work. So a lot of the areas were like taped up, like don't use this section.
Yeah. Been there.
So when when we were going through when we went through Cyclone Albert early this year in April, we had set up the controller in the garage, and this was his old controller, and it was just, we'll hoverboard in the garage, and then he would DJ, So it was sort of that scenario, and I thought, hey, that's cool, how do I do this? And he showed me like the basic, idea of
Welcome,
how
Fat
to, I
Base
guess,
78.
mix the BPM and how to use the wheels and that. But I couldn't really use any of the extra functions because it was all taped up and didn't
So,
work.
yeah. How do I learn
And
this if
so,
it's broken? Yeah, exactly.
literally. And so like that was like, I guess, my first experience with a controller.
Yeah.
And I maybe played with that twice because I quickly got bored with it. I'm like, there's not enough stuff to do on this
Oh, yeah,
thing.
sure, yeah.
And we ended up moving houses, and we had the extra room, and I thought, well, we're not going to do the playroom again because that was disastrous.
Yeah.
And we dedicated it to being a studio this time around. And I went off the bat and decided I was going to buy a more a better controller, if
Right.
you will.
Yeah.
And it was just sort of like
one that actually has the stuff that works. Yeah.
Well, it was like I was looking into things, but
Welcome,
Jesus,
Bonnie,
like, oh,
$2.99.
this and this and this, and he's always like the name man, sort of thing. And I was like, no, let's just get it. So, the next morning I went out and I ended up purchasing it, and he's got me on security camera where I'm like got this massive box and I'm just walking it inside, and he's like, oh, what's this?
Yeah.
And so, that was 3 weeks prior to me going live on my first stream. He walked me through, obviously, like, this is the dials, this is how this works, this is what this is for. And I guess he tried to teach me his understanding of DJing, his technique. And again, it's very old school, and I think it's more disciplinary correct.
Right. I like to call it traditional. Yes. Yes.
Yeah. But I got bored with it.
Yeah.
I don't like working within the lines, I think. And so I quickly ended up pushing out of that.
Yeah.
And so a lot of the experience when it came to DJing was self-taught.
Yeah. All right, thanks, Grit. I appreciate it, the alert. So like how did you, was it more of just like playing, like, okay, I want to try to do this versus I want to try to do that, and if it doesn't work, then I've learned how to not do things? Or was it something like, I know I can do this transition, or I know how I can do this, all this extra stuff that you could do? How did you learn to do that?
I think it was a lot of healthy pressure, to be honest. So pretty much every single time I jumped on that Dex, it was essentially streamed.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, when you have that pressure of an audience watching you straight then and then, you figure things out quicker.
Yeah. You're forced to. Yeah,
and that was 100%. So that was very much, I guess, my case. I pretty much pre-select my playlist in advance based on, the vibe that I'm feeling and the mood that I'm feeling. And quickly I realized, oh god, like there's 40 BPMs between these tracks, and I've got to find a way to transition that and still like make it sound good. Yeah. And everyone's listening, so like no pressure.
Yeah.
And so, like, I think, like, obviously there was a lot of tweaking. There was a lot of things that, like, okay, well, it sounded okay, but I could do that better. And I think, in my mind, it was just, I had to just get in and do it. Yeah. I'm someone that needs to do it physically to understand it. Right. So, yeah.
I totally get that. I mean, we're really kind of getting ahead of ourselves on the DJ stuff, but I love, because when we start talking to like the individual, like behind the stories of you before we get there, and it starts getting to the point where the passion overtwines the history. I love it, because we're talking about something that you've found a passion for, and it kind of gets you to where it is. So before we get into fine details of DJing and stuff like that, so like tell me about the history of, like, because we're going to talk about like Brisbane and like living in that general area of Australia and things like that. So like, before we start talking that, like how did the upbringing and like how did the life get you to where you are today? And I'm gonna get a little deep so we can kind of learn about you before we get into those extra stuff. Hey, Fat.
So I wasn't born in Australia. I ended up moving to Australia when I was 9 years old. I came from South Africa. That's where I was born. My parents decided that they wanted to, move to a country that just had a brighter future, essentially. So we left everything behind, packed up everything, made the massive move. And I still remember, like, we came over to Australia 2 months after my dad. And I think it was like 3 days before Australia Day. And I remember walking out of the airport, it would have been around midnight, and I was so confused because as soon as those doors open, it was like a slap of hot air in your face. And I was like, what is this place?
Yeah.
And so, the next thing, we obviously were driving to a place where we were going to be staying, and, it was just a different world from where I came from. Like, everything was so much cleaner, well presented, well lit, it was just a different experience. So then we ended up, the first time I went to school was actually here in Australia. So that was, just completely new territory for my family. And I think, when we first got to Brisbane, obviously it wasn't as commercialized back then. It was very much based around like our beach lifestyle.
Yeah.
I think one of the things that fascinated us about Australia in general was just the fact that, like, when you walk on the beach, the sand squeaked. We couldn't believe that. So I think, like, once we went to like our first visit at the beach, it was pretty much every weekend we ended up at the beach. So that was, I think, one of the biggest things from my childhood.
No, that's cool. So, like, it's funny how much a area can change once you get into the internet world, where you find out all the things that are going around. Like, before the internet happened, it was like you're in your own little world, you make that or whatever, and then once you become commercialized because of social media and all that kind of stuff, that has changed so much. Not just, obviously in Brisbane, but like everywhere else in too. Yeah, that's possible. True, Paul. You're probably not wrong. So, like, with the balance, like, before we get everything, like, so now that you got kind of set up in that and you kind of have the childhood that, then when did the, like, well, I want to move out away from family, or like grow into something different than being a kid and graduating high school and all that kind of stuff? How did that evolution happen, and where did you go from there?
So I think I was always very career-minded growing up. I really excelled in sports in school, to the point where my teachers would force me to train with the boys because they were like, well, you don't have any competition against the girls anymore. You're beating them by 3 minutes. So you need to train with the boys. And so, like, my original disposition, I think, I had a lot of family members that worked in IT, and I thought I was going to end up there. So in grade 9, I worked really hard to try and get an IT traineeship, and I was getting on with this really large government agency, and I went all the way through, like, to the 3rd stage of the interview just for them to tell me, you're just a little too young, so we're not going to give it to you. I was like, you're going to take me through 3 interviews just to tell me that?
Yeah, exactly.
And so I guess, from there, I was looking into becoming a marine biologist, but I ended up changing schools for my senior years. And because of that change, I wasn't able to get into my science subjects that I needed to get into as a prerequisite to continue biology science in uni. And so I sort of, like, had to completely, I guess, redefine where I wanted to go. And that's when I decided I probably want to become a carpenter. And much to my dad's disgust, he was so anti me becoming a tradie at all. He really wanted me to, like, become an accountant. I said, I don't want to become an accountant. I want to build things. My basic understanding back then was like, oh my God, everyone gets into these careers and it's just to make this money and it's all essentially just to buy a house. Why don't you just learn to build a house?
Yeah. Yeah, the
I
routine
mean,
is
I've
there.
grown
Yeah,
since
exactly.
then.
Can we do something different, please? Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Pretty much. And so he was just like, no, you can't do that. I won't allow it, blah, blah, blah. So he was an electrician. My brother was an electrician. And then he said, the only trade I will let you get into is to become an electrician. I said, I don't want to become an electrician. Anyway, so it was a lot of back and forth. And eventually, I said, well, okay, I'll apply for an electrical apprenticeship. And some of the companies that I ended up going through, they were like, okay, pick your preference in your apprenticeship that you're wanting to take on. And so I did. I put an electrical apprenticeship as my third option, and I put carpentry as my first option and a mechanic as my second option.
Yeah.
And later on, they got back to me while I was still doing a traineeship in retail, and they said, congratulations, you've been awarded the apprenticeship. And when I told Dad, he was trying to like, oh, this is going to be bad for you, blah, 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 blah. But at the same time, he was really proud about it.
Good.
But he
yes.
couldn't show that. He
Yeah.
couldn't show that, So when it came to my intake, I started my apprenticeship in grade 12. And we had a very large intake. And so they basically, the company I got on with, they gave every apprentice like this box of tools that was going to be essential for their trade.
Yeah.
And I thought I won because essentially the carpentry toolbox was like as wide as the back of a ute, and it was full of tools. I was like, I chose the best apprenticeship. I got the most tools.
Yeah.
And then you saw like the plumbing and the electrical, and it was like, it shrunk every single time.
Yeah.
And so I said, Dad, see, like I chose the best apprenticeship. And he came to the intake, and that's when he was like, oh, okay, cool. And he became a little bit more supportive over time. But it was like pulling teeth kind of supportive.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, like I think, I wouldn't have gone into carpentry if I hadn't had the experience previously of building a sailboat with my dad. I probably wouldn't have gone into it if I didn't think I had the physical capacity. And I put that down to obviously my coach in school that was forcing me to train with the boys.
Yeah.
And I probably wouldn't have gone into it if I didn't feel like I was able to adapt personality-wise, to be obviously with the boys and be able to thrive and joke accordingly. But yeah, I grew up as a tomboy and it all just worked out.
Yeah. So then why did you just, is that something you're still doing today then?
I had to step away from carpentry. And we'll probably get into this a little bit later, but due to unforeseen circumstances, I guess, it just put a lot of pressure.
Or is it something that you just like the balance wasn't there?
I think it had a lot to do with just at the time, court became real full-time. And then obviously being a full-time parent to 3 kids, it just became a lot to juggle. I think also one of the massive struggles here was the fact that you cannot find good labor anymore.
Fair.
So it was sort of the situation that, I was having to hit up agencies and I was paying staff $50 an hour. And I'm just like, I just need them to read a tape and be able to use a drop saw. That's all I want. I'm paying $50 an hour. And they would send me people that couldn't do this. And so it became very hard to, run a business when you can't leave site because you're having to essentially oversee every little detail of work that's being delivered because essentially your staff are not competent. So it was a hard situation, I think.
So like to talk about carpentry, I know you stepped away from it, but like, so if looking back at it, like what was probably one of the few best things that you created with your hands through carpentry?
I think the biggest aspect that I took away from it was being able to renovate my own property. It sort of led into like me getting into like the designing aspect. I later ended up designing our house. And I also got into like the interior design aspect of it. So it's sort of just all, I guess, was a continuation of experience that ended up, evolving. But I think as far as the carpentry side went, I did a lot of disaster recovery, and I guess that was probably, as far as the carpentry goes, the more fulfilling side of the work that I ended up doing.
Yeah.
I ended up being part of the flood recovery in 2011 here in Brisbane. In February 2013, I ended up going to Bundaberg to essentially be part of that flood recovery as well when the river ended up breaking its banks.
God damn, yeah.
Yeah, so it was like, we went up there and it was 16-hour days. We were trying to get the schools back and up and running, so the parents had somewhere to essentially send their children so they could deal with, obviously the crisis at hand.
Yeah.
And then, after we did like 12-hour days, trying to obviously get everything up and running, then we'd go over to the homeless village and we're trying to build up these, massive tents and bunk beds and kitchens for all these like people that have now no housing to be able to have somewhere to stay overnight.
Yeah.
And then and this is where Cheese and I met, in 2021, March 2021. Again, I ended up in another flood recovery here in Brisbane and Logan, where apparently it was one of our largest flood recoveries. And I was having to manage the site for where all the waste was essentially going.
Wow. Yeah.
So yeah, like I think, in terms of like fulfillment, it comes from like helping people at the end of the day. That's where the joy comes.
No, that's awesome. Because because we've talked a lot. I mean, we have a couple categories that like we relate to a lot, but like this is the reason why we sit down, because I would never have known that. Like, I don't know if anybody that's on like, Jesus, like I was some of the waste. I'm not for sure if that's technically true, but yeah, like you were there helping and you guys met there, so fair enough. But I mean, sounds like she could probably have picked you up and took you out of the trash as well if you needed to. So like
it got really crazy. The site that we were working on, like the piles of people just throwing their lives away essentially was nearly 6 stories high.
Jeez.
And we had to deal with the locals complaining about us, trying to clean up the city because, when is this waste going to get dealt with and blah, blah, blah. I mean, like, whoa, have some compassion. Like, these people are literally throwing their entire lives away, and all you're worried about is, when is this getting cleaned up?
Yeah.
So it was wild,
I think that happens everywhere. I don't think that as in Australia simplification of that area. I think it's everywhere that has that. Because I mean, like I've heard that story through like when the floods hit with New Orleans, like all the hurricanes and tornadoes in our area too. It's like sometimes they get selfish and like, where's this happen? Where's that happen? And you forget about the other people having it 10 times worse than what it is and all that kind of stuff too. So, so I totally understand that. So with a transition from like carpentry and going into like learning how to like design all that kind of stuff, is that what kind of inspired you to learn how to do like graphic design and things like that too?
I guess I wouldn't say it was a direct. I wouldn't say it was a direct path. It was definitely not a direct translation. Yeah, like I have had the full scope of working obviously as like a supervisor managing renovations for government departments and managing trades. I went into, like I said, the designing side of it, interior design, things like that, and at the time I guess like that was again my creative outlet for that period of my life.
Yeah.
And I think I was denied for a long time any sort of, I guess, breathing space to be able to channel any of my creative outlets, especially when court came to be. So I had to go through a period of nearly 4.5 years through court, 5 court proceedings, and it just became a full-time job. It was just a really messy divorce. And I think during that period, I had to take a step back from work. I had to take a step back from just doing everything that I was doing at the time, including playing soccer. And I had to concentrate on what needed to be done, because I couldn't just like turn it off and say, no, I don't want to do this, because you don't have an out when you're through that process.
Right. Like your priority list gets set for you and you have to just focus on doing it. Yeah.
You get an email pretty much daily. You get told when it's due, and if you don't do, there's penalties. And so it was one of those things where like you were being dragged through it, kicking and screaming, whether you liked it or not.
Right.
And your life stopped accordingly because you had to meet deadlines around the clock. So I think, during that time, like I really felt like I was just going crazy. The full scope of just crazy. I felt like I was losing my mind.
Right.
And eventually, after I ended up getting through like the first 3 proceedings, I was like, I need to have an outlet. I need to be able to channel, just be able to switch off my mind, and just channel into something. And at the time, that's when I started really getting into like writing lyrics and getting into art and drawing. And at the time, there was no practical application for any of it because it was just a hobby.
Right. Yeah.
And so it was just, it was this outlet, and I just needed to put like colors to things, and I needed to put like, text to things, and I started writing books, and I just started getting into all that sort of it, but it was just a hobby. And then when I got out of court, we just decided, okay, we need a reset. So moved houses, I ended up getting new hobbies, and that's when the whole DJing side of it started.
Right. And did you meet Cheese at the same time you're doing the stuff, or was that before the court stuff? Or
he came in during. I think things got worse when he came into the scene, unfortunately.
Where relationships happen. That happens, yeah.
High conflict ex.
Yeah.
And so it very much became, okay, well, I'm going to try ruin your life in every way, shape or form, and it was like on every level. And it just became beyond the point of reason. There was no compromising, because all I was doing at the time was compromising.
Yeah, exactly.
And we still weren't getting to any type of solution. And we'd gone through mediation, and even in mediation multiple times, I was the one compromising on everything, and
of course,
it still wasn't enough.
so like you keep bending, and there's nothing else to bend, and like sooner or later you're gonna have to stand up and say something.
Yeah. So I think when you've been through that sort of situation, you just really crave getting your life back, and just being able to live again and be present again. And so that was very much like where the DJing, I think, really woke up again for us.
Yeah. So when was that turn, when you were talking like, okay, so we've been going through all this kind of stuff, whatever. When was that turn, that hard 90 turn, not 90 right turn or whatever, that says, okay, now I'm done with this shit of my life. Now I'm going to try to make this the best part of what I'm doing? Or is it at some point, is it always still lingering there?
Like there's a little bit that lingers, but I think, you're not like, for me, I don't give it as much energy compared to obviously what I had to. I think following April, that was a big turning point. That was sort of like, okay, this is like one of the last ever, court hearings, and I'm free.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And so we sort of celebrated because we ended up going to the Excision festival, and that was like Horsey, Cheese, and myself, and it was like, okay, this is like epic, like we're vibing, we're having fun, it was just good to like wake up to that again, because for so long it was like you just been denied that experience altogether. And very quickly in that, April was just like a huge month for us. It was, end of court. It was the, we're finally going out and we're getting to like celebrate and go to like a music festival. And then we decided, okay, there's enough bad memories in this house. We need a new one. So we moved houses as well, all within the same week.
Yeah.
And so it happened really quickly. And I think then the focus was like, okay, like, you know, we need to put time aside to have fun because no one else is going to do that for us.
That's true. Yes.
And I think as an adult, you quickly lose sight of that, you know? So I think it was just like realigning of like, okay, not everything is doom and gloom, and we don't have to keep giving it, you know, that sort of, I guess, energy. We can prioritize having fun. Like there's no reason why we can't, you know, have a good life, and just put everything behind us and move forward.
Yes. I feel like since we talk about mental health so much on this channel, we kind of like give the platform to do this every single month to get everybody their story out and kind of like give the history of what's going on, all that kind of stuff. Like if you knew somebody was going through this as of right now and they wanted to find a balance to try to like be happy but yet still like say I don't have time to do this or I don't do this, how would you explain to them and how would you let them know of how to do things like this, like how to make it better? Let's put it that way.
I think one of the things that I just embraced, going through that very intense period of my life was the fact that hardship refines you and change is necessary for growth. I think it's important for people to realize, yes, okay, you can try and reject it and you can try and push away the inevitable, but sooner or later you're probably going to have to walk through that fire. And you know, it's essentially that rebirth. And I think once you embrace like this struggle, that's where transformation happens. You know, you're always gonna grow as a person. That's never gonna stop, whether you like it or not. And I think you just have to accept, you know, like change is inevitable, transformation is inevitable. It's all part of the journey. Just embrace it.
So so since when you moved there at 9 years old and you've gone through all that kind of stuff, like to try to bring that happiness back, we're talking like one of our first topics is going to be like Brisbane and stuff. Like what is like in Brisbane that could make you happy and that you would like try to encourage other people like, hey, if you're in Brisbane, these are the kind of things that I do in Brisbane to make me happy and things like that. Like what would be a good way of talking about that?
I think I don't know if it's like specifically a place. Like one of my goals obviously was like, I didn't know who I was coming out of that, you know, that crazy marriage. And I felt like I just needed to focus on realigning with who I was again. So I sort of started right from the beginning. I was like, okay, you know, before this relationship, this is what I was doing. I was playing futsal, I was playing indoor soccer, I was playing soccer, you know, I was doing all these things. I was doing like 20 hours of sport a week. And so I ended up joining a soccer club. And, you know, I think I found my group, my girls there. They were really supportive and most of them going through similar things. And I think, you know, when you find your people and you find your community, it changes things. It's really all about like your support, and being able to have those people around you that actually can understand and relate, because that means more than someone that's just like going through the emotions but not really understanding.
So then like I always say like, so the traditional way to find that connection and find all that to do what you need to do is mostly the people that you have locally. And I always encourage, if you have friends local, and go hang out in person. It's a whole different story. But like when you're getting into that and you're getting into the DJing and you're getting into like that world of Twitch and the community level, like what was the most surprising turn that you learned about the communities building in Twitch, and what brought you happiness in that instance?
I think before you start like getting into the whole social media side of things or becoming a streamer, you're sort of left with this like deluded idea that you need to like, I guess, be fake or, you know, try and be someone, or, you know, people are only going to be interested in X amount of topics and, you know, you got to pretend. I think it's sort of a blessing that I started a lot later because I just didn't care.
Yeah, great.
About all of that.
Yeah.
And so like my goal was just like, I'm gonna be me and I'm gonna find my people by being me. Take it or leave it. I'm not gonna be for everyone. So that was sort of like the mindset going into it.
Yeah. So
I think
yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
I think the biggest turnaround, was when I started finding those people. I didn't think I'd find those people as quick. But when I started having that return community, that was really like, oh damn. Like it was a massive turning point for me. So I really do not take this community for granted because I appreciate every single one of them and the energy that they bring.
Yeah. I mean, not just like when you're streaming, but like the behind the scenes and stuff. Like I always thought that like you're going to talk to people, you're going to be introducing people, but you don't think that they're going to become like family or the friends that you become. And like that makes a huge difference when it comes to that. Hold on just 1 second. Bruce, welcome in. Thank you so much for everybody. Hi, by the way. Good to see everybody. Thank you seriously so much for raiding into our 5-year anniversary stream. Oh, thank you. Seriously, so much. That's Bruce420. If you're not following Bruce, do so right now because she is freaking fantastic here. We'll catch up on how stream went in a little bit, but we're sitting down with Arkaya, which is freaking awesome. Don't forget, when I bring everybody together when we're doing this here, it's not about me. It's about the person that we're sitting next to. So make sure you're following Arkaya DJ because freaking she is awesome. We get to learn about her, and I've learned already so much, and we've only been talking for maybe like 40 minutes, give or take. So I don't want to forget because before we kind of touched on like history. We talked about DJing. We kind of like all that kind of stuff. There's still a couple categories, but before we press on, I kind of like want to give those people that want to visit like Brisbane and kind of like know what it's all about and things like that. Like, so if I was saying, hey, I'm gonna come visit, and obviously I'm gonna come see you. I'm gonna see the friends that are in Australia and all that kind of stuff that are out there, like Nick and Gooby and all that kind of stuff. Would you suggest certain things to go see? I'm a tourist. I want to see some things. Can you give the people that have never been in that area a couple things to look forward to besides just the people?
So we definitely have a lot going as far as tourism is concerned. And I think that's, something that's only going to continue to evolve, especially as we're ramping up for the Olympics in 2030.
Oh, yeah, it is. Yeah. Right.
Yeah. So, obviously there's going to be a hell of a lot more facilities coming in the near future. But as far as what we have here, we have a lot of theme parks, Dream World, Movie World, Wet and Wild. We have SeaWorld, and it's all things worth seeing. We have a really good nightlife in Brisbane and on the Gold Coast in particular. I think Fortitude Valley is probably like, if you're an adult and a DJing, it's probably the place to go at night. Just because like there is so much in terms of like nightclubs and just, that nightlife experience. Obviously, we get like the Brisbane Festival, which is around September. That's where we get the renowned river fire, and again, it's just like a firework display all along the city's river. But then they also, I think it's like another week or two of just like various different celebrations, and it's all geared towards the families essentially. But yeah, like I think, again, just comes down to like the people that you're going to be seeing. It depends on like the season. Obviously, you're not going to go to the beach when it's winter. But if it is winter, like I would 100% say like go to the Sunshine Coast. I think that's probably one of my more favorite, less commercialized beach areas. Surfers Paradise has definitely become over commercialized over the last few years, and Brisbane, despite what Paul says, you can't really swim in the river because of the bull sharks. So
Paul was talking about bull sharks earlier. Yeah, exactly. And it's opposite for you guys too. So I mean, like, as it's like super fucking cold right now, like it's decently nice now there. and then during the summertime, when we're hot here, it's going to be cold in your area as well. So you got to think of that opposite visiting and stuff like that too.
But in saying that, I will say we probably don't get anywhere as cold as America.
That's fair.
Even in our winters.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, like if it gets under 24 degrees here, we're like, oh my God, it's cold. And you guys are probably like, oh, it's summer.
Yeah, like because right now I think it's 29, which would be below 0 Kelvin over there. So yeah, it was super fucking cold.
Yeah,
for sure. Like I was just reading, it's like it's fucking hot and it's not even summer yet. Yeah, I'm getting you.
Yeah.
Oh, and Street Dog say it's -2. So is that -2? Hey Susanna, thank you so much for the affiliate. You don't do Fahrenheit over in Scotland, do you, Street Dog? So it's below 0. So it's below 32. Yeah, Celsius. So it's a little probably 30 degrees there. Yeah, so it's even warmer than it is now. 'Cause I think right now, it's 29. So it's about the same temperature, I guess, for a little bit. So like I'm kind of a foodie. So suggest some foods that I would enjoy or love to try for the first time there in that area.
Damn.
I mean, I'm sorry. I'm going to dig deep because if I want to visit, I really want to prepare myself. You know what I'm saying? I don't have the weather sections. I should do that. You teach me how to do that. I'll put that in
there. There's an amazing restaurant down. It's past the Gold Coast, but it's called Mike's Kitchen. It's actually a South African restaurant. But if you don't eat all day and then you end up going there like around, you know, late afternoon to like dinner time, you can get like, you know, a kilo of ribs or a half kilo of steak.
Yeah.
And it's epic. It's epic. And so that's something that I always used to do. But yeah, to be honest, we have a lot of different foodie type places. I think I forget the name, but is it the Brewdog, which is near the Story Bridge. They do like craft beer and all that sort of thing. But like I don't know, like there's a lot of different hotspots. Like it really just depends, again, you know, when you're coming, whether you're wanting to be like outdoors or indoors, what kind of food you're feeling like, because we definitely are multicultural. There's definitely a lot of cuisine available here as well.
Yeah, and it's not as commercialized as in like 90% of the stuff you see is all like fast food chains and all that kind of stuff. Like there's actually a lot of more local stuff there.
We had like the Kenilworth Bakery. It's a few hours away from here, but people love going there because obviously it's a nice scenic drive. It's a nice cruise out that way, and you know you're able to get like a 1 kilo sausage roll and a 1 kilo like donut, you know, and people love obviously doing that because it's like, oh, I'm going to put this on my social media and show people how cool it is. We also have, on the other side, we have the Fernvale Bakery. And now that I used to work close to that bakery a few years back when I was busy renovating a school administration after a student had put a firebomb through it. So at that bakery, it is the kind of bakery that you get like any kind of meat you never knew existed or was served. And so you're able to get like crocodile pies and kangaroo pies and like emu pies, like just things like you didn't think was like able to be served on a plate, you can get at that bakery. So again, it just depends on what you're wanting to try.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. I love to understand because I'm like I've been to different areas of the world that nobody's been on. Like I've been to Kuwait, UAE, stuff like that. Even Saudi Arabia I've been to, and you know, and I love trying to find the specific types of food in the area that's not something that's, oh, I get to go to Chili's or like Outback or something like that. It's like that's something there. And someone, what was it? Was it Street Hawk was saying something about like Foster's ice cream or something like that? God damn it, Foster's. That's a throwback joke from back in the day. I'm telling you, it wasn't that long, was it, Paul? How long ago was the Foster's joke? Was that? Oh, And if you're checking this live or whatever, and you missed the joke, yeah, you need to come hang out with our channels because it was hilarious.
Paul asked me to send some for Christmas, so I'm just about to purchase some for you, Paul. A 24-pack.
Like a real beer, not Foster's beer.
Oh no, only Foster's. Thank you.
We're sending Foster, our Fosters from Australia there. So it is kind of Australian for beer, but not really the beer that we're talking about.
Like when Australians don't buy their own beer, you know there's a problem.
Yeah, you know it's definitely not Foster's for not Australian for beer for sure. Oh my goodness. Okay, so I would love to understand. So like so we're talking about the good things about living in Brisbane in that area and stuff like that, and like we're gonna visit some great food spots or some great place to visit, and obviously the people you're gonna go and visit the people, of course. Let's talk about like can I be honest? Like what is the downsides about being there? I mean, you've lived there all your life, you know, you've been through like raising kids and all that kind of stuff. We'll get into the kids in a second, but like what is the downsides of living there? Is it kid friendly? Is it not kid friendly? Weather, all that kind of fun stuff yeah.
So I guess I can give you a lot of cons. I would say economically, I think it is one of the most overcharged states and underpaid states throughout Australia. You know, if you were to get a learner's permit here in Brisbane or Queensland, I should say, you're looking at like $150, whereas other states you pay maybe $60. Mm-hmm. Over here, like a qualified tradesperson struggles to make $30 an hour. If you were in Western Australia, you struggle getting paid less than $40 an hour. Our price of living has continued to really increase, or especially over since COVID, since 2018. Petrol prices went up, our housing prices have not stopped going up. Mm-hmm. And that's something that they recently mentioned, that because of the Olympics that is coming up in 2030, we're in a position where essentially here in Brisbane and the Gold Coast, we're looking at our housing prices literally doubling, if not tripling again.
Oh my gosh.
And we've already just been through that, you know. And the thing is, like, the income isn't matching it anymore. In fact, the income for the average person has not seen a pay increase for at least the last 5+ years, and if anything, it's gone back 20%.
Yeah, the cost of living is not keeping up with what affordability is. Yeah.
And then we're also getting the additional taxes. So they recently announced that, they pushed everyone to get into electric vehicles. Because, we need to be greener, and we're going to give you incentives to buy electric vehicles, and it's going to be cheaper for you to own an electric vehicle. But now they realize, you're not getting taxed for that, so we're going to come up with a tax for you now. So you're going to get paid that. They're looking at introducing a spare room tax. They've introduced a sun tax. So if you've got solar power, even though you're giving your energy through to the solar power company, you get to pay a sun tax. What? So I feel like we're sort of at the point where essentially 40% of our wages is essentially going to tax. Which is crazy when you haven't had a decent pay increase for some time. And I think we've had also a massive influx of refugees and immigrants coming into our country, and the reality is we can't afford it because we just do not have the housing available to keep up with the demand to even house our own at this point.
That's insane.
But especially, and we haven't had the capacity to house our own Australians since 2020. This has been an ongoing issue. We've had a massive issue with our government just letting in refugees by the thousands.
Oh my gosh.
The thousands. And again, this has just put an upward pressure on the market. because the demand is there, but the supply is not. So naturally, everything just keeps climbing up in price. And it's not just that, it's also the fact our logistics cannot keep up with the density of the population.
That's crazy. Yeah.
So with all our infrastructure upgrades for our roads and our trains and our bus lines and everything, you know, all the upgrades was essentially for where our population density was a decade ago.
Oh yeah, exactly. So you're that far behind. Is what you're saying. Yeah.
And so now it's like taking, you know, all the deliver all that work, just for them to realize, oh, we're still behind.
Yeah.
So yeah, like, you know, the average commute nowadays for people to get to work, and it goes both ways. Like, obviously Brisbane used to be, you know, the CBD, but Gold Coast in recent years has caught up.
Yeah.
So now they're both, like, you know, business districts. So our highways are like flooded both ways. Like, it doesn't matter which direction you're going in the morning or in the afternoon. If you're in peak hours, sometimes it's 2 hours to get home.
Holy shit.
Or to work. So it's crazy.
Yeah. And then, so like, is it like, because I mean, since you have kids and stuff, how is that balance with all that, and then having to worry about school and the balance of like teachers versus how big a classrooms and all that kind of stuff is?
I feel like our teachers take a lot of strikes here. I don't know if that's telling, maybe because of like the kids that they have to deal with.
Yeah.
But you know, they're always looking for more, for an increase in pay, our teachers. And I feel like classes have reduced in sizes compared to when I was in school.
Mhm.
I think, you know, like I used to be in classes that were like 30, 40 people. That was normal.
Yeah.
Here, I think you struggle getting a class like max 25.
Wow.
But still, I think that's a figure that they're still trying to reduce.
Right.
For us and schooling, we moved a little bit further out of the high density areas,
Right.
just because I didn't want to deal with all that. I
Oh,
was dealing
great.
with it,
Yeah.
and I had enough of dealing with
Yeah,
it.
yeah, no shit. Yeah.
So we just moved further out, to sort of get away from it. So like school is not too far. But in saying that, you know, being in a new estate, obviously things are building up around us all the time, and so we're on borrowed time as to when we're going to be back there dealing with all the stress of commuting and dealing with high density population and traffic again. And people that can't do the speed limit.
That's great. Yeah. And then, and I'm sure moving out, not only you have less density to worry about, but I mean, like, probably gives you a little bit more quality school too, because they can focus on the students better and all that kind of stuff. So I mean, like, for those that are thinking about moving or doing all that kind of stuff, those are the kind of things that. And then I had to do the same thing. Like, I'm still in the city, but I had to move from one area that had, you know, a little lower income, but then the teachers in the school didn't care as much or didn't have enough resources, to something that I had to pay way more to live in, just so I could have a school for the kids. So that worked out. So I get that. And yes, Sir Board, as of right now she is, but just give it time. We'll get there. Maybe after we're done, after we're done recording for YouTube, you'll miss everything, and you know, everybody that's here live can see it all. Minute breaks for idiots. It's about a lot of speed line. Yeah, for sure. So like, I think that's good for everybody that's never been to Australia. Like, that's the one country that, I mean, there's probably many countries I've never been to, but like one continent area that I probably have never been to. So someday I would like to visit and all that kind of stuff. So that's good knowledge for everybody that's listening to this, that wants to understand, you know, where you live and how that works out and all that kind of stuff. So then we've already kind of, in the intro and a little getting to know you, we kind of talked about like getting started in DJing and like how you get there and stuff like that. So I guess what I would do is I'd move into the DJing part of it and go and ask the questions I've kind of asked like all the other DJs that I've had on this channel. Is like, so like, what keeps you motivated to keep going? How do you get the music that you're doing? And then what is something that you're looking forward to learn that you haven't learned yet in that DJ category?
I keep showing up because I'm someone that once I commit, I got to keep seeing it through.
Yeah.
And the community is definitely some, like I have the best community. It's the people that just keep showing up. And so when they're giving me that energy, I have to return the favor.
Right.
And so it's very easy in that sense to, this is my hours, this is what I've booked in, and this is where I'm going to show up, and I'm going to keep showing up for that reason. In terms of where I source my music, I go through a lot of different platforms to get my music.
Yeah.
And I play a lot of like the stuff that isn't mainstream. I play a lot of that because I feel like, especially when you have independent artists, this stuff isn't put on the radios. It isn't put out to, the world. And I try and give like a little bit more of a stage to those type of artists because I feel like they deserve recognition.
Yeah.
And again, their music is not easy to source. I had a recent experience where I tried going through Apple Music to source some of my music. And I was left dumbfounded because last I checked, Australia was a continent, and for some reason, I cannot purchase certain music from Apple Music because I live in Australia. And it wasn't just Apple Music; it was also Amazon Music. They just full stop did not sell music to Australia.
Wow.
And so I've had to be very like resourceful. I've used Beatport quite considerably.
Yeah.
I've used Bandcamp quite a lot. Some of the music I've been able to play is actually also just it's free. It's free to use. They're not making money off the music, but they put out the music because they're obviously trying to build a community. They're trying to, I guess, build people up, help them get through struggles, things like that. And their message is more important than music for them.
Right.
But yeah, like, it's really a hustle to try and, source some of the music because obviously when the mainstream platforms don't sell it, you got to like find other ways of getting it. So yeah, in some cases I've also had music sent to me from other DJs as well.
Like I'm always curious if that's an Apple thing or an Amazon thing, or if that's like a country thing. Like, is a country stopping them from doing it? Like,
they told me it was because I was in Australia.
So like, is it because like because I mean, is it because Australia, like, is the Australian government stopping them from trying to sell and
I mean,
money? I just wonder if that's part of it too.
Our government is so good. Like,
I mean, like
when you have like when you have your own farmers chasing your prime minister out of towns.
Yeah.
Know that you got a really good one.
Yeah. I mean, Robbie's in there saying like there's some Steam games that don't in there, like it's really sad when you have to use a VPN so much to get stuff you want to do, and then to get it, and they're like, oh yeah, like your credit card is over here, so you can't do that, but we could still let you do that. Because I know, like, I've sent a few videos. I don't know if it was to you or to Nick or to whoever that's over there, and they're like, oh, I can't watch it because it's there, so I had to turn my VPN on just to watch the video that you sent me from like YouTube or something. Like, what? Like, seriously? Like, I don't get that shit like that.
I think over our COVID, our government got very power hungry.
Yeah, wow.
Very power hungry, and it became very much about like, how can I assume more control? And I think it's just not stopped or slowed down since then. As of tomorrow, I believe it's tomorrow, we're supposed to be implementing our under 16 social media ban, which goes across pretty much every mainstream social media: YouTube, Discord, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, all these things. Which is wild when you think about it, because last I checked, that was the parents' decision.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, those freedoms are slowly being taken away from the average Australian, and I think it's slowly getting worse, in the sense of like, even our new drivers that come up from their learners get into P plates and things like that, like slowly, like they're just getting more and more freedoms taken away. I don't believe they're even allowed to like use their phone, and they're not even allowed to have like a navigating device that they're in their car while they're driving. I don't even think they're allowed to listen to music. And I'm like, okay, so if this is to save them from having accidents,
Yeah.
Inevitably, when they come off their P plates, they're going to be using these things anyway. But the difference is they wouldn't have learned how to use these things while driving. So now you're just going to like push the crashes to like happening 3 years later into their license
Oh
rather
my
than
gosh.
happening in their P plate.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know. I just feel like there's a lot of unnecessary control taking place.
I think it's more of like, uh, I don't think that Australia is the only one recently that's trying to take a lot of control. I'm trying to put this in a way that I can professionally say it without hurting my career too, but and because of military and all that stuff. But I totally understand what you mean, and it's really, really sad. I think what Butterfly is trying to do is prevent it from being in chat below for YouTube, just in case they have a problem with that, by the way, just so you know. I don't have a problem with it normally, but I think during a recording for YouTube, I think that's the reason why she's making sure that it doesn't go through too much. So in that instance, so we're on the category of DJing and things like that. So so you got your music, you put it in there. Like if somebody wants to get started into DJing, and you know, me and you have been DJing for a long time, do different styles, different way. I used to mix for a while there, and then I was like, nope, I'm not going to put in that work. But now it's different. Like Twitch loves to see that kind of stuff. So there's a chance of like, thinking like, hell, I wonder if I can dust off the rust of my on the talent that I used to do someday. But like in that instance, like how do you inspire somebody that's thinking about doing it, or how would you give that advice to somebody that says, hey, I want to start doing this? How did you learn, and how can you teach me how to do something?
I think the biggest challenge is just starting. I think, you know, if you've got a goal in mind and you want to try it out, then start. You know, and it's honestly gonna, you know, you're gonna go one or two ways with it. You're either like, this is really good and I'm gonna keep putting energy into this because I love it and I enjoy it, or you're gonna be like, it's not for me, I'm gonna go somewhere else, and you're gonna completely leave it. You know, so I think again, start. You know, if you have someone that has a controller that you can have a little spin on and you're able to, you know, get a feel for it and see if it's for you or not, that's probably like the best way to get a feel for if this is something for you before, I guess, incurring any expense.
Like how do you jump into practicing that with a board though, without jumping in and getting one for yourself though? Like, is there a way to jump into that to understand how to do it without spending so much on the controllers? That's the worry part. Yeah.
There are places that you can go through to rent. You can rent, right? So I guess that is an option if you don't have any friends or family that have, you know, a controller for you to be able to use. I guess good like idea. Secondary, before you put out, you know, the massive expense, you're able to rent it. And a lot of like, we got a few DJ places around here that are able for you to rent it. And so, yeah, I guess that's an option. You know, the other option is obviously you can get the software, which is nowhere near as amazing, but it'll show you the controller and you can sit there, I guess, playing with like, you know, the mouse and the keyboard and get an idea for it. And sometimes people get really good at that too. Like, especially if you have a background in gaming, like, you know, that stuff feels natural to you anyway. So that again is also an option. But yeah, like I think it's very much about like I don't think it's for everyone, like, you know, and so like I say, like the best thing to know if it's for you is to get started. How you get started, if you're able to go through a family or you're able to go through like a friend, that's probably like ideal. Otherwise, rent, you know, try before you buy and then go from there.
No, I like that. And it's like they're saying like the shout out to the Flex 4, and like the Flex 4 isn't terrible too bad either. Like the pricing on some of them, like you can get a basic one. I mean, I know it's still like expensive, but I'm like you can still get a basic one for between like $200 to $300. So you're not like jumping into like a $4,000 controller just to try something out that you're not sure if you're gonna like or not. So I mean, there is options out there, and you're right. There's rental programs, and like if you like for the States, you have a guitar center, you could pretty much go in there and actually like mess around with the stuff like that too. It's around $500 here. So I mean, like you can get one at a reasonable price without going too far budget if you want to try it out, you know, all that kind of stuff. So there is a possibility.
And I think that's a good point too. Like I see a lot of DJs that are starting out that have like the tiniest little controller, but it does what it needs to do.
Yeah.
Like all you need to worry about is those transitions,
Yeah.
and any controller will do that. So
Yeah.
if you are wanting to buy, maybe start off really small. You can always sell it and upgrade later.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's also just definitely an option.
So what are you, so you're saying in an instance that size doesn't really matter? In a controller, come on, y'all, come on. Yeah, I was reading chat. I'm like, I'm gonna go for that joke anyway. That's what it is. So did Cheese, when Cheese was teaching you a different technique of what he knows and stuff like that, like what was something that you took out of that, saying, okay, like if I was going to teach somebody like what something does or how to do something, stuff like that, what would be one of the first like few techniques that you would teach somebody to do?
Think, you know, obviously the basics is the beat matching. You got to beat match. I think, you know, when you're first starting out, it's also, you know, syncing your tracks.
Yeah.
And it's developing that ear, I think, to obviously make sure, because even when you sync a track visually, it's not always synced either. So you sort of got to build your ear accordingly. And that's, I think, one of the things I initially struggled with as well. was like, oh, if they just got rid of that extra drum, it would match.
yeah.
But yeah, you got to sort of be aware of, I guess, you know, the music that you're playing. And I think for Cheese, he likes to, I guess, you know, stay within a certain genre, or he'll mix like within two genres that are very similar to each other. I wanted to sort of expand out of that, but also break out of like just being stuck in a small BPM range. And those were things that, like, I think you're going to figure out for yourself once you're spending time playing with it and building your own style.
Yeah. It does take time to be comfortable with playing with it to understand how it works, for sure.
Yes.
Yeah. And I'm sure there's a joke in there too, but I'll let Paul make that joke. So like in that instance there, like I was waiting for it. I was just saying, like I phrased it just for you, Paul. I swear. And then what I would always say too is when I used to mix, I always had to mix songs. Like when I did them for weddings and stuff like that, I did mix songs that were popular for the crowd, not necessarily the beats per minute or stuff like that. So it was even harder for that instance, because you might have to jump from like celebration to something else that's slower, or vice versa, go back and forth. I always say, like, if you're having trouble finding that mix, like that beat mix and exactly that synchronization for the next song, you can actually insert your own. And I've seen you do it a couple of times where you have that, like that, I don't know how to even, like the sound clip or something that, you know, like will get your attention, do that. And then all of a sudden you go to the next song and they don't see that the beat didn't mix up correctly or something like that. So there's other transitions or other ways to merge.
I think with that style, it largely comes down to like your volume control, your trim. I use a lot of different techniques to obviously jump between, like, you know, 20, 30, sometimes 40 BPMs per song. But yeah, there are definitely ways that you can do it. And yes, you can like use a voiceover or something like that. But yeah, like I think largely if you are falling back on, like, you know, the trims and the way that you're feeding it in and picking like that space in the track where it aligns, it will work out well. But again, it's a practice thing.
Yeah, and I found the reason why I got out of like mixing it that way is because, like, I was putting so much work to try to find this correct area or this correct mixing from one song to another, and I realized that people were more like, especially at weddings, because that was my like go-to. It was like they wanted to hear the whole song. They didn't care about the transition. They didn't care about the mix. They wanted like say like line dancing, they want to dance from the beginning of the song to the end of the song, and if I'm already transitioning out of the song to something else, they're pissed because they didn't hear the ending and that they like. So I just like fuck it,
Yeah.
you know, I did it, and I still did the same amount of weddings. It was less work and less production value, I guess, but then again, it was enough for them to enjoy the night and stuff like that. So like, why am I putting all this work in for that? But if you're performing on Twitch and you're doing your own thing and you're having fun doing that, that's a totally different world, I think. And if you're doing concerts and things like that, of course you're going to do that, but like, it depends on what you're doing and where you're doing it at.
I think when you're in a live setting like that, especially being at a wedding, people are obviously more familiar with the music that they're expecting.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is probably why it's like, I want to hear the beginning and hear an end because I'm drunk to sing it.
Yeah, exactly. And the only version I've ever heard was the one that's on the radio, so I don't want to hear that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I totally get
Yeah.
that. So now that
again,
you've done all that, you've learned to do that, and you're putting your own style on it, which is freaking fantastic. Hitting 1,000 followers on Twitch, and you're growing, and you're kicking ass and all that kind of stuff. I think now I want to get into like, how do you balance the work, the full-time job, then you're balancing learning to DJ and getting this music and getting the set lists and all that kind of stuff ready for streams, and then you're also balancing, obviously you have a significant other, and then you also have kids. How do you balance all that and still perform the way you do? I mean, obviously you do it, but there's got to be a trick that you're doing that works out for you.
Again, I think, you know, after years of just, you know, going through that really intense period of my life, I think, you know, it sort of just shapes you to just like step up and put up and, you know, shut down like, oh, I don't have time for this at all. I don't, you know, you start making you run out of excuses to make. You don't have time to make excuses. You just get up and you do, I think. And so like, I don't obviously work full time like I used to. And my work is a lot more, you know, freelance based and a lot more online based. It's really like designing and things like that. So I get a little bit more flexibility around that nowadays. Obviously kids are kids, you can't program them. I've tried.
We try. I know,
you know,
I try.
like you know, so yeah, I've just learned to, you know, I guess function whilst being sleep deprived. There's no sleep-ins, there's none of that. You know, the kids see the slightest bit of light and bing, they're up. So the whole house is up, whether you like it or not. And yeah, I think, you know, it's just about making the time as it comes. I think I've become really trained in just not making excuses, and you know, I guess procrastination is not something I'm able to do or do anymore. Just because it's all about, okay, what next? What next? You know, and it's just about keep going and trying to make the progress through the day. And for me, I think, you know, organization is key. So when I get a spare moment, you know, it's like, okay, how can I get ahead for tomorrow? If I do this now, you know? So I guess it's just a lot of mindset.
Like I always say, like you were talking about, like moving, like what's next about like that goalpost is like, I always try to remind people, like, don't move the goalpost so much where you don't appreciate the wins that you're making. Like you celebrate when you get there. I mean, you can move it after the fact and say, okay, what's next after that? But you always want to celebrate getting there. Because if you stop celebrating your wins, the wins don't mean anything. And you just keep going, and you're going to get burned out and all that kind of stuff. So like, and then how old are your 3 kids now?
My daughter is 9 and my twins are 7 years old.
So then the balance, because we have a lot in common, because I have 2 twin boys as well, but they're 9, they're identical. So like how did that mix? But putting aside like the bad marriage and all that kind of stuff, like putting all that kind of aside, just focusing on like the motherhood and the twins and stuff like that. Like, how did that change, and how did that get to where like you already have a daughter? You find out you're pregnant, you find out, oh shit, now I have more than one? Then how did that surprise, and how did you evolve from that surprise?
So interestingly enough, I wasn't supposed to be able to fall pregnant.
Yeah.
um, so before I got married, I was having, I thought it was like appendicitis or something because I was getting like these really sharp pains. And I went to a doctor and they ended up doing scans. And they told me essentially I had a really thick uterine wall and my eggs were struggling to escape. And at the time, I had 9 eggs.
Yeah.
But they also told me that I had a growth internally that would prevent me from being able to fall pregnant unless I ended up getting surgery to remove it.
Yeah.
And so naturally, I went on my honeymoon. I'm like, I can't fall pregnant. And then I fell pregnant on my honeymoon.
Yeah.
So there was that. And then I was at the time a senior supervisor up in Mount Isa. And I was managing a bunch of different construction renovations and things like that. It was not a very good time to fall pregnant. And then I also ended up later getting diagnosed with hyperemesis gravidarum, but it was severe. I had no idea what it was. So I didn't know that I was pregnant initially until I started getting crazy symptoms. Like my vision would just like, when you take a magnet to the TV?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
My vision was doing that. I'm like, okay, what is going on here?
Something's different than I'm used to, yes.
Who broke the TV?
Yeah.
That was my first thought. And then I found out it wasn't the TV, it was my eyes. And so that was like, okay, well, what's going on with me? And initially, like, my first few tests were like, not negative. And I was still getting like, all the normal, periods and things like that. And so I thought I was like going crazy. I'm like, why is my body going through all these changes and somehow I'm not pregnant?
Yeah.
And it took me like 8 weeks to finally get a positive.
Yeah.
And I was really, really sick to the point where I was just not able to keep food down or water.
Right.
And I thought initially, it's morning sickness and it's only going to be here for the first trimester.
Right.
And so I'm trying to work and I'm still like doing 12-hour days at that stage. But now I got this thing that I got to work around where I'm just gonna like casually, spontaneously like projectile vomiting at any minute.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, well this is complicated.
Yeah, how are you supposed to do a 12-hour shift and be able to focus on that? Yeah.
It got crazy real quickly. And I went to this hospital. It obviously wasn't a great hospital. Like I guess our best hospital at the time, it was a 15-hour drive from where I was living. So all I could access was the rural hospital. And oh my gosh, I went there and I said to them, I'm pregnant. I can't keep food down. I can't keep water down. Why?
Yeah.
And they were like, okay, we're going to do all these scans. So they're like, okay, we need a sample of your vomit, your wee, like your freaking blood, like everything. Give us everything. I'm like, okay. And I kid you not, like I felt like someone was going to like jump up in my room and say, oh, you've been punked, because I was not prepared for like with a straight face, I'm in there freezing to death because the air conditioners are always like set to like Arctic, level temperatures in hospitals. And the blankets, like they have so many holes in them that they don't actually keep any warmth in either. So I'm like, six blankets down. I'm still freezing. In the meantime, there was like, the cold fluid being pumped into my veins. And so I'm like, oh my God, I am dying here.
Holy shit, yeah.
And I just feel like garbage. And the doctors come in and they say, so we've done all these tests, and like this is all 3, right, that they've looked in, and they've come back and they like, okay, and we've determined it's because you're pregnant. There's no solution for like what I was going through at the time.
Look at the billboard.
So at the time,
thank you. I didn't know this already. Thank you.
Like I came in here telling you that.
Yeah.
And that's the only answer you've got for me. cool. So at the time, I was 20 weeks pregnant. I had lost over 5 kilos. I'm now like 50 kilos, and I'm supposed to be growing a baby, right? And all they can tell me is like, oh, don't worry about the baby, because babies are parasites. They'll eat whatever, and then they'll just like reject you from being able to eat anything. So the baby's going to be fine, but you're dying in the meantime, and that's okay.
Yeah.
So when I left hospital, it was essentially like they didn't know what was going on. They couldn't give me a diagnosis. They couldn't tell me anything.
This is your first one, by the way.
This is my first one.
Okay,
this is my first one, right? So like, and at the time, not even like any of my siblings had any kids, so it's like all new. Anyway, so like they literally give me like this list, and I kid you not, there was 10 different like medications on there. Like they're like, we don't know what's going on with you, but here's all this medication we want you to try and see how you go.
Yeah. Thanks. Yeah, I'm sure that's good for the kid. Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah. Nothing
worked, you know. And so essentially, like, I kept thinking, oh, maybe it's just until like second trimester, and then I'll be good.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was not. It was, in fact, the entire pregnancy. And so, like, essentially, like, my entire pregnancy, I had, like, 5 safe foods. I could eat chicken, potato, rice.
Yeah.
Pineapple juice, and only 2 squares of chocolate, because if I ate any more, I would throw up.
Oh, wow.
And so, like, I was at a point where, like, I would be throwing up, like, up to 40 times a day. Like, I could not keep food down. And so essentially it was roughly like every 2 weeks I'd end up back in hospital just to get rehydrated.
Yeah.
And they'd put the drip in, obviously, you know, put some hydration back in my body. I would leave. I'd be able to eat maybe for like the next 2-3 days, and then I would just start going downhill again.
That's crazy.
And so that was essentially like my entire pregnancy that I just had to put up and shut up with.
Yeah.
And, you know, and think that it was normal. And it wasn't until I think I got to like my 3rd trimester, I ended up flying over to Western Australia, and I saw a doctor over there, and that's when they ended up saying, you're actually suffering with severe hyperemesis gravidarum.
Right.
I had no idea what that was. Right. And it turns out like it's not a very common disease. And it only impacts like 2% of women. That is how uncommon it is.
Yeah.
And there was no cure for it, essentially. Yeah. And so, you know, like, and there are even worse cases than mine, you know, to the point where some mothers actually die as a result of starvation because of this kind of disease, you know? Yeah. So yeah, like that was really brutal. And I thought, you know, I was going to have a large family up until that pregnancy.
Yeah, it's like, okay, this will be a one and done. Yeah, for sure.
But it was actually really funny as well, because obviously when I found out I'd fallen pregnant, I was like, oh my God, I have 9 eggs. Yeah. Yeah. And so I was so like stressed out, like, oh my God, am I going to be like the next Octomom? Yeah, exactly. I didn't know how many babies I'm having. Yeah. So like I was like dead set, I need that first scan. I didn't know how many's coming. And then they said it's only 1. I said, okay, cool. So naturally, when I felt pregnant second time around, I assumed it was only going to be 1.
Right.
I went to the doctor. They said, oh, because you got high vertigo, it's unlikely that you got multiples. I kid you not. Like, this is like the words that came out of her mouth. I said, okay.
Like everything that you've had with kids-wise, it's always been the opposite of what they've been said. So yeah, it sounds about right. Yeah.
Doctors are so good.
Yeah, can't have them, then you have 1. You're only going to have 1, now you have 2. Yeah, exactly.
It's so bad. It's so bad. And so, like, I go from, like, literally the doctor's room to going for my ultrasound. And at the ultrasound, I have, like, the trainee sonographer, and they're like, do you have twins in the family? And I'm like, what? And I say, well, my granddad is a twin, and so like apparently with the whole twin situation it skips a generation, but in my case it wasn't the case, because yes, my granddad was a twin, but none of his kids ended up having twins, right? He didn't have twins, so it skipped 2 generations.
So it shouldn't be yours.
And then
It should be the one before that, not yours. Yeah, yeah.
It should have been my mom.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And then they just went quiet. Like, so I got like this cold goo on my stomach, and they're just like, "Oh, you got twins in the family," and I've just answered like, "Yeah, well, technically my granddad was a twin." And then anyway, so like they just sat there like quietly, just continuing the ultrasound, and no one's saying anything, and I'm just like big eyeing, like, okay, is someone gonna tell me what's going on?
Yeah.
And then the like qualified sonographer turns around and she says to me, "You know it's twins, right?" I was like,
No,
"What?"
I don't. Thank you. No, I don't.
and I'm freaking out because like I'm 5'1". How the hell am I physically capable of like carrying twins? Like my first baby was already like 4 kilos.
Yeah.
She killed me. And are you telling me I'm gonna carry twins? So yeah, I wasn't I was in shock pretty much that entire pregnancy, I think. That was crazy.
And did the second one go as rough as the first, or did it go better?
Worse.
like you couldn't keep food down or anything like that either at the same time either?
So I went into that pregnancy not knowing I was going to suffer with hyperemesis again, because I sort of had this like false sense of security thinking, oh no, like it's different genders.
Yeah.
It should be fine.
Yeah.
It was not fine. And so all that happened is essentially my 5 safe foods were different.
Yeah, yeah.
And so essentially chicken was the only consistent food that I could eat during that pregnancy from the first pregnancy. But I couldn't have any of the other things now from my first pregnancy. I could only have like avocado and bread and barbecue sauce.
Wow, okay.
I couldn't have barbecue sauce in my first pregnancy. I could only have the tomato sauce.
Wow.
So that was just a complete shift. And I couldn't keep down any juice. I couldn't do any desserts. It was crazy. And again, like up to 40 times a day, I just could not keep, anything down.
Jeez.
And so the thing with that one that made it obviously worse was the fact that I carried them full term. And so they were fraternals. They were in their own, they had their own sac, their own placenta.
Right.
So they were 3 kilos each. Their placentas were another 3 kilos each. And with the fluid from their 2 sacs, it was like another 5 liters in fluid.
Wow.
And so it was like crazy. It was crazy physically on my body. And then what was worse was like the fact, because my stomach got so large, like I would sit down and I had like a baby kicking me in the boob, And I was like, are we serious right now? But it also like stopped like the general flow of things. And so I ended up with mass swelling. And so in hospital, they ended up draining 7 liters of fluid out of my body just from the swelling after I ended up having the twins.
Wow. I mean, for those that are like from the States, to know the difference here. So like 3 kilos is 6 pounds. So she had little over 12 pounds of 2 kids total. Yeah. So that's a lot. That's a lot.
Yeah. But like in the same sense, it was like a good thing for the babies, because they never had any time in NICU. They were pretty healthy. I was able to leave hospital like 4 days later.
Yeah.
Which is pretty good for twins, you know. So yes, it sucked. But yeah, you got to look at the brighter side too, I think.
Yeah. I mean, you had to go through all that kind of stuff, but now that you've gone through it all, now you're kind of like, okay, now that I've gone through it all, now I can focus on other stuff and get that stuff done. I mean, we spent 29 days, I think, in the NICU because they came out early and all, they were small and all that kind of stuff. And then when you said yours was like 6 pounds at 3 kilos, I think ours was like a little less than or right at 2 pounds each, give or take. So whatever the conversion is. So they were tiny. So then like
no,
go ahead.
You want me to go? You go.
No, you're good. You're good. You're good. You're good.
Sorry, I was just gonna relate. Like my sister ended up having twins 2 months ago.
Yeah.
And she was in the same predicament as you, where one of them came out 2 pounds and the other one 1.5. So they were in hospital, I also think around 3-4 weeks.
Yeah.
And so yeah, like I guess, you know, that's hard in itself, like especially when you have other kids that you're working around. And so I'm thankful that I didn't have to go through that, because I think that would have been really draining.
Yeah. And then especially with somebody that probably wasn't doing enough to help you, that you were doing it all yourself, to balance that, and probably wasn't easy either. So no, I totally understand that.
That was
so
fine.
Then what was your like things that you loved, and what was your benefits between raising one versus raising two, technically raising three at the same time, but like the difference between like a singleton versus, you know, a twin?
So I always joke that like my first baby was like teaching me to be a mum.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm sorry, like if I fail you, you're teaching me how to be a mum, so I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But you know, I had to like sort of again, you know, teach myself a lot of things on, you know, how to be a mum, because I didn't have family support or friend support, because I was, you know, living rurally, and no one lived nearby. So it's all things that I sort of had to figure out on my own. You know, so when my daughter ended up going through like her first constipation at like 4 months old, like, might sound funny, but it was heartbreaking. It was heartbreaking. You know, I didn't realize it because I was like, okay, she doesn't want milk anymore. She wants solids. Like, and she knows where she's putting those solids. I don't even have to teach her that. But she's just like eating so much solids. But she wasn't drinking enough fluids, you know? And so like then she went through constipation, and I was like, oh my god, I'm failing her.
I mean, that's true.
I had to do things I didn't think I'd ever do. You know, just to like help that baby out. You know, but yeah, like I had but she was honestly like an epic baby. Like she was a great feed. Like when she sat down for feeding, she was polishing like 1 kilo of puree at a time. I was like, are you real? I knew she was Italian then because of that. But she was epic. Like she, like if I wanted to, she'd like sleep all day, you know. She was a great baby. And then I thought, you know, when you get into the like mindset where it's like, oh, but they need a playmate.
Hello there.
That's where I ended up with her. She had just turned 1 year old, and I'm like, she needs someone to play with, you know? And I was like, oh, but can I go through this pregnancy again? Like, what if? And I was just and then it got to the point where I'm like, no, you know, it'd just be one more, so it's fine. And at the time, I was renovating my house, and I was converting it to like a 4-bedroom. So I have like my 1-year-old. I'm doing this like full house renovation internally and externally. And then somewhere along the line, halfway through this renovation, I started getting really sick again.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, oh no.
Yeah.
And I'm starting to throw up. But this time, my 1-year-old's busy watching me, right? And this is where I know it's getting crazy, because now my 1-year-old is like sympathy throwing up with me. She's following me to the toilet, and she's grabbing her own little space on the toilet bowl, and she's like pretending to throw up with me.
Oh, sympathy pains with a kid. Yeah, got it. Yeah.
I was like, oh my gosh, this is a normal girl.
No.
And so like it was wild, you know. And obviously like when I found out you know, that it was twins, I was like, I'm not doing this without mom. I know what my ex was like for the first one.
Yeah.
I'm not doing this without mom. And so after the renovation was done, I ended up moving across to Western Australia to be with my parents.
Yeah.
And to have my mum, obviously, through that twin pregnancy, which was an epic decision, because obviously she was more useful also during the birth. But yeah, like, you know, my daughter was so scarred, I think, because at the time, like, she was the only grandchild. you know, in the family. Like she was the first great grandchild in my family as well.
Right.
And then she got superseded by twins. And the thing is, I knew she was messed up because there's only like 2 years and 3 months between them.
Right.
So she was still a baby herself. Like she was still in nappies and everything, right? So they come along and instantly she's like, what are these little bald worms doing in my house? I'm going to steal their dummy. I'm going to steal their milk bottles.
Yeah.
You don't get to be here. I own this. So like every time I leave and they started screaming, you know, I had to look what she was doing. There were cases she's grabbing them by the legs to try and hide them.
Oh.
I'm like, oh my God, I have to watch this.
Yeah.
This is getting crazy. But I knew she was messed up when like we go to like the toy shop. And she'd go to like the doll aisle and she'd go grab like one baby in one hand and then go grab a second baby in another hand and then around like that was to have 2 babies.
Yeah.
that you're carrying around. I was like, oh my gosh, I've messed her up for life.
Yeah.
Here she is thinking it's normal and it was so not. But I think I was really excited about having the second one because I was like, oh my God, I'm going to overcome like all the challenges. First one, I'm going to like smash it. I didn't expect twins.
Yeah.
And then it was twins.
Yeah.
I was like, RIP. Now I had to learn like how to tandem feed. And then like both my twins had like colic and reflux and one had like a blocked ear, like tear duct for like the first 6 months. I was like, oh my gosh, like, okay. And then everyone was like, oh, you know, twins can't be that hard. It's just like another nappy to change and another bottle to feed.
No.
I was like, okay, that's assuming they come synchronized.
Right.
Which they don't.
No, they don't.
All right. They're not on the same sleep schedule. They're not on the same feeding schedule.
No.
And then with mine, they also were eating differently. I had one that was just a guts. He'd go like 0 to 1,000 in like a split second because he was hungry. Like there was no warm up. Like he was losing his shit right then and then as soon as he. Whereas the other one was like, oh, okay, there's not enough milk for me. I'll just fall asleep again. And so they were so vastly different. And it was so much more challenging because now, you know, like I had to learn to essentially not only like look after twins that had different needs and suffering from so many issues, but also a toddler that I now had to like find somehow like some way to give attention to.
Right.
And I could only do that when the baby's sleeping. And so that was like a hugely insane period of my life as well, because during that like first few years of the twins coming home, I was getting maybe 2.5 hours sleep every 3 days, 2.5 hours of broken sleep every 3 days.
Yeah.
You know, just because my lot and I had to show up for them because no one else could.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was really easier because I feel my daughter saw the twins getting a lot of attention, and she went backwards. She went backwards, behaving like a baby.
Right.
Is the mic coming through okay?
It seems like it's
Okay,
fine.
cool.
I mean, I could see it, but I mean, like it kind of bounced in and out for a little bit. Yeah, it cut off for a second, but you're good now.
Okay.
I don't know what happened. I blame Discord.
So she sort of
Yeah. Go ahead. Yeah. Yeah.
Is it still doing something weird, Cheese?
No, it should be good now. It disappeared on my side, so I don't know if it was Discord or whatever. Yeah, it's okay now.
Yeah, so she went through like this phase where she's like, oh my God, I need to be a baby so I can get mom's attention because that's what the babies are doing. So I'm just gonna start shitting my nappy again.
Yeah.
Tough luck, mom. Deal with that. And I want milk again. You know, I don't want to do solids. And everything just went like she reverted backwards.
Right.
To try and compete with the babies. And I feel like if it was the other way around and there were 2 older ones bringing up the younger one, it would have encouraged the younger one to grow up.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I got the opposite.
Yeah. I think I'm like, we don't have 3. We just have the 2. And I think it's it kind of goes back and forth. Like one feels like it's excelling, the other one's not, and then the other one's like, oh well, I have to stay on their level so that they come back, and then that one excels, and they're like, oh, now I have to push up to get to that.
Yes.
Like it's just, yeah, they feed off each other, going back and forth and stuff. And I think it's more
And
like a twin thing than it is just a 1 versus 2, I guess, maybe.
I would say it's a boy thing as well.
That's true too.
The boys suck.
Yeah.
Oh my god, the boys suck. Like, for real.
Yeah.
The things that I had to go through with each of the boys compared to my daughter was things I never went through with my daughter at all.
Yeah.
You know, like the shit explosions on a daily with the boys. Never had it with my daughter.
Yeah.
You know, like the absolute chaos with the twins. It's like one of them knew this is a really bad idea. But then the other twin comes along and he's like, it's all good. If we do it together, then we only get like half the trouble. So let's do it.
Yeah.
Okay. So it was like all this garbage that I had to deal with, especially when they started moving. When they started moving, R.I.P. That's when it started. Okay. So like you go to the toilet and suddenly there's like 5 rolls of toilet paper stuffed in your toilet with a car underneath. Or now you walk down your hallway and all that toilet paper that's now filled with like toilet water has been torn to pieces and thrown all over your hallway walls and your roof. Or now they've learned to take a nappy off. Now you walk to your living area. Or they've learned to open the fridge and they've taken a kilo of butter out the fridge. They've both grabbed a spoon and they've learned to flick it onto the ceiling and the TV.
Yep.
And the floor. Oh, and they didn't stop there. What? This sugar is open? Let's sprinkle it everywhere. Just mum's outside busy speaking to the electrician that's fixing the air conditioner. Let's trash the place.
Yeah.
You know, and like I swear I was gone for like 5 minutes. But it was like the kind of situation like you put them to bed and then they learned to start getting out of their car.
Yeah.
And they go into the fridge and they grab the, you know, like the carton of eggs. And now they're in the garage and they're busy cracking these eggs on the concrete in the garage.
Oh my gosh.
So be warned, like especially twin boys, it is not for the faint of heart.
Yeah, it's not for sure. I mean, luckily, like we paid enough to have like an alarm system in our house, so like they learned very early to the doors don't open unless you're gonna wake up the whole house. And since I sleep during the day and she sleeps at night, they knew that they ain't gonna get away with shit because there's always somebody on top of them all the fucking time. And it was like, but they tried. I like you were talking about like weird things. Is like I remember like they found like a roll of toilet paper and they thought the ceiling fan was really cool. And then I came into a room because she was doing something and I came in and it looked like someone TP'd our living room that was in the fan. And
I think one of my twins is more mischievous than the other.
They do, yeah.
And it's the older one. And I probably knew this back when he ended up getting into my makeup. So I have like this makeup table in my room.
Yeah.
And he got into it. And like he got like the bright pink lipstick and he bathed himself in it, right? But he didn't just bathe himself in it. Like he took my whole room with it. Okay, so it was like all over the table, it was over the chair, the brand new bedding on my bed, the carpet, like, and he didn't stop there. Then he got into the foundation, and you cannot clean out foundation. It's stains, okay? And so like I'm losing my mind. And I think that's all it is. I can't even clean the kid because he's stained pink now. My kid is pink. I cannot clean him. And then he got into the scissors and he cut the shower curtain and he started cutting the bedding. Oh my god. And he got into the nursery with a permanent marker. And all over like my boutique little nursery that I spent all this effort making nice and pretty.
Yeah.
He put permanent marker on everything.
Oh my gosh.
So The joys.
So when did that transition happen? When you have a daughter that's 9, they're younger. Like when did you feel like it's the routine got better, or is it better? I mean, at some point it does get better, but I mean, like eventually. But I mean, like better than what
it's hard.
normally. Yeah,
It's hard in a sense that, like, I know my kids. I know what they're like when they're thriving and doing well and feeling confident.
mm-hmm.
And I also know the opposite, because of the unfortunate situations we've been through.
Mm-hmm.
And my twins were diagnosed with trauma-induced ADHD, but opposite ends of the ADHD.
Yeah.
So one of them dealt with his symptoms essentially aggressively. He has like this perfectionist sort of mentality, and he doesn't allow himself to learn a skill. He just expects to like see something and know how to do it perfectly, like first go. And if he doesn't, he's gonna lose his shit. And so that's like better work in progress.
Yeah.
And then with the other one, he just completely disassociates. So if he like does not respond well with a person or a subject, or for whatever reason something has triggered him,
right,
he'll just completely disassociate. And once he's disassociated, like, you got to work hard to get him back on track. Otherwise, he's never coming back in class. Like, good luck with that. You can bribe him until the cows come home, but he's not coming back in class.
Right.
And he's definitely not participating. But then it sort of got to a point where, like, they were feeding off each other and making each other act out worse.
Right. Yeah.
On top of that. And to the point that they both got really, like, angry and started raging. And I think it was a way of, them responding to the abuse that they had been going through with their father at the time. Because all of it came about as soon as like a 15-minute visit happened with their father, essentially. And what made it hard is obviously going through that period where they're not able to communicate effectively because they haven't learned to talk. Right. So that was like the hard situation that was sort of navigating. And what happened is, as soon as Dad came back into their life, everything just spiraled.
Right.
And six suspensions in a month and a half is what I had to deal with.
Yeah.
And to the point where school was threatening expulsion. I'm trying to run a full-time business at the time. They've been suspended from the before and after school care. They've been suspended from school. They're now going on like long suspensions, the threat of expulsions. Everything was just unfathomable, you know? And I was the one having to pick up all the pieces. I was the one having to 27 meetings in like a 2-month period, I was the one, like, eventually it got to a point where my boys got put on finishing school at 10 a.m. which was crazy. Like, you're essentially dropping off the kids and then you're coming back like 2 hours later to pick up your kids, and somehow you're still supposed to work. And then of course during that time I was also dealing with a whole bunch of court shit, so things got really brutal really quickly. And it was the kind of situation that you didn't foresee coming, because how could you, right? And we have a very bad situation here in Australia, because you get really, like, when it comes to ADHD and things like that, you get put on really lengthy wait lists before you're able to get any diagnosis or any sort of support or anything like that. But in the meantime, like, you're still having to wear all the behavior, and there's no real diagnosis or no one, helping you through it or helping you understand it. So that was a lengthy process. And anyway, we eventually found out everything. And, my goal, like, obviously through last year was like, you got to get back on full attendance and you're going to finish for the year strong. And you better make sure, like, you stay in class and, you're applying yourself and you got to catch up in this. So it was, like, really stressful, because now I feel I'm in this situation where I've put in such time and effort into my parenting, and essentially I keep watching it unravel before my eyes.
Right.
And now I have to play catch up. And I've been in this back and forth for like several years, you know. And so they got back to a point where, like, you know, the first 6 months of this year, they were thriving, getting awards at school, doing amazing, no issue, full attendance, all that.
Yeah.
But then again, contact started with dad, and things starting to spiral.
Yeah.
So I'm in this like this back and forth like roller coaster at the moment, and I don't really have control over the situation. And so all I can do is, like, you know, look after my side of the bridge, as they say.
Yeah.
And try and obviously, like, you know, be as much as I can. But yeah, it gets challenging, like, especially when you feel like, you know, you've put in all this effort and it just keeps being torn away from you for no good reason.
Right.
For no good reason. Like, that's the struggle of it.
Yeah. I think in that instance, you just got to like feel like, okay, so as they grow up and realize the difference, I mean, mine are 9, so they're still not, they don't know the difference, to be honest with you. So I don't know when that's going to happen, but you hope that someday they'll see the difference and saying, okay, why is this going to be this way? I think ours had a lot of time where they were getting kicked out, the ADHD and stuff like that. Then all of a sudden, like, we had to go to, like, it wasn't really a court thing, but it was more of like, we know that the law in our city was, if they're diagnosed with this, you can't kick them out of school. You have to figure out a way to help them. Like, if it's in school suspension, if it's whatever, they have to deal with it because that's what that is. So they can't stop doing that. And that's another reason why we kind of moved to a different school, because that school was a piece of shit. And they just like, okay, well, just let them run around. And like, there was one time where like one of our kids got out of the school and ran outside the building. And then they're like, oh, well, the kid's outside the building, so we called the cops. What do you mean you called the cops?
I had the same situation.
Like,
I had the same
like,
situation. So I, like, while I was in trial for court.
Yeah.
2 hours into my trial, I have their school blowing up my phone, and they're like, we've called the police. Your kid's ran out of school. We don't know where he is. I'm like, really?
Like, who's
like,
responsible
now?
to fucking keep them in a goddamn school? Like,
I am in federal court, and you're blasting my phone now? Like,
Yeah.
are we for now? And so I hear you. Like, it's not an easy situation, and I feel like there's definitely a lot of training required around that situation. I feel like people like to come up with an excuse rather than try and understand. And if they come up with an excuse and they can, you know, impose all these labels and consequences. I know my school struggled because they were like, oh, we don't have the funding. We don't have the funding.
Yeah, yeah.
And I've done a lot of training and courses around understanding it, because it's not something that ever ran in my family. So this was all new to me.
Yeah.
And you know, like and how I manage each twin is very different as well, because of the ADHD type that they are. You know, and like I have a great relationship with my boys, you know, but their teachers struggle, you know, and I won't say it's all their teachers, because one of them had an amazing teacher this year, and then one of them had to deal with the change of a teacher midway through the year, which he's never responded well to. And she's a little bit younger, and I get these calls, and I'm scratching my head because she knows he has ADHD, and she calls me up to complain about all the things that he's doing, which aligns with ADHD. And so I'm like, what do you want from me? You need to learn how to read the cues, and I've put plans together for each of my children with the school, complex plans for them to understand the cues and how to read the cues and how to respond to the cues. And everyone that's implemented these plans has had great time with my boys. All right, but those who don't, they're on my phone complaining about the fact that they got ADHD. And so all I can say is thank you. Yeah, exactly. Well, because I'm sorry, I can't give you any more resources than I've already given you. You got to step up and be a teacher now. So you know, that's how it is, unfortunately. So I understand completely where you're coming
Yeah,
from.
I think it's funny that we had to teach a school that once my kids knew that they could act out, and then that once they acted out, they're going to get sent home. They would act out on purpose so they can get sent home. Or even now they're
Yes.
9, and this year it was like, oh, if I act out, I'm not going to get sent home. But if I throw up on purpose, I get sent home because I get 24 hours because I can't come back to school for 24 hours because I threw up. So now I come home and it's like, okay, so like it was maybe like not even a month ago. They went to school and they were there. One of them was like, I didn't want to go to school. I'm like, you have to because of this or whatever. They get to school like an hour later. He throws up like twice or whatever. They send him home or whatever. And I'm like, okay, well, I know you're not sick. So guess what? Every hour you're doing 10 push-ups. What do you mean? And then the TV's off. So you're gonna be either at the table reading a book or coloring, or you're gonna be doing you're doing 10 push-ups every hour. they haven't faked they haven't faked throwing up yet since then. So
I tell you what, like you have to be innovative because kids are coming out smarter these days, right?
Yeah.
And so like for me as well, mine were doing the same shit. I was like, okay, that's how it's gonna be. So every time that they come home, I'm like, here's 5 baskets of washing you need to pack.
Guess what? It's gonna be a fucking more of a pain in the ass to come home than you are there. Yeah, exactly.
And they'll whinge about it and everything. I said, you made your choices. Here's your consequences.
Yeah.
And so very quickly they learned, like, okay, it's not fun going home anymore.
Exactly. Yeah, that's exactly right. Oh my gosh. So what I want to do real quick here, I don't want to take away from the chat because chat's going to have a lot of questions because we're going to talk about this. I tell my daughter if she comes home early by faking it, she's no iPad whatsoever. Yeah. If whatever works to take it away from them and make their home life after they fuck up worse than what it is. So if RJ throws up and he's off to work, he's 10 push-ups. Yeah, it's exactly. I don't fake throw up. That's the difference. I mean, if I throw up, guess what? I'm still getting paid. I got enough sick time. It's whatever it is, what it is. So since we're pushing a little bit of time on YouTube, what I want to do is I want to do a lightning round with you. I want to play a little game, and I'm going to pick up a few questions, and then we're going to talk about like where to find you, like your stream time. So think about that as we end, and then we're going to cut it for YouTube, and then we're going to stick around with chat. If you have questions, you have like stuff, I'll go through the things that we've skipped because I like what I always give. I always send out the questions. I say this is what we're going to talk about, and then we get in a great conversation, and we don't ask any of the questions like the same answers of the questions that we had because we kind of already know what we're talking about, and it works out really good. So I'll review some of the stuff that we skipped, but if anybody has any questions, hold on to them for just a little bit. If you're here live, you get that little bonus, and for those that are watching this on YouTube a little bit later on, we did this last month, and if you want to catch the new ones when we do them, come and visit the channel. So for a few lightning rounds, some of these questions are kind of like quick and easy. You can answer them real fast, but it's kind of like, here's an answer, try to answer them as fast as you can, but then if we want to explain the answer, we can do that as well. So those kind of things. So
does the answer have to be correct?
I mean, no, it's based on whatever you want.
It can be fast. I don't know how correct it's going to be.
I mean, whatever you got. I mean, a lot of these stuff is whatever. So like one of these, like, or whatever, it's like a simple one. It's like coffee, energy drinks, or pure Aussie stubbornness to survive the day. What's one of those three is the best one to survive a day?
Yes.
I mean, it's fair. Yeah. Which one would you rely on the most? Would you rely on coffee, energy drinks, or just stubbornness of the day?
Caffeine doesn't actually work for me. It sort of just like uses a false sense of security. I'll say caffeine, but it's not accurate.
So you're ADHD too, because caffeine for me keeps me alert but doesn't keep me awake.
I wouldn't even say it keeps me alert, to be honest. Like it's like I can have a coffee before bed and still like go to sleep. You know? So I only started drinking coffee when I got 30 years old. Yeah. And then it's cheese is like, you know. I'm not diagnosed of anything, but he's raised
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And so now I'm thinking, oh my God, is this why I've been misunderstood my entire life?
I mean, yeah, that's possibly true too. Besides being a mom, because obviously being a parent, that's usually my go-to for this answer. But like, besides being a parent, what is a fear that you've learned to live with? I know these are not
I
easy.
I think I've outgrown that phase of my life. But like, and I think this is like specific to like women in particular, like when you've lived by yourself, and I think it's like, the lack of security and oh my God, like you hear the slightest noise and someone's gonna slit my throat. Yeah. That's not a thing anymore. I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna go to bed and I'm gonna go to bed unashamedly. If I'm gonna die, I'm gonna die, and I'm accept that. So that's just the phase of my life I'm in right now.
No, I get that. I like that because I mean, like at some point, like with a parent, you're always like worrying about the fear of kids and all that kind of stuff for them hurting themselves or whatever. Like, but like when you start asking yourself on like what is bothering you today besides the kids, that's what people forget to ask themselves. So that's why I like sometimes of these questions. I like to get in the nitty-gritty of yourself, not just the basics of everything. And then to continue that is like, so you had a small win today, and something good happened. What's your go-to celebration to appreciate it?
Food. I don't think like we probably should do it more, but we don't do a lot of like the active celebrations. It's more like talking and having like an epic meal, I think. But yeah, that's I guess how we do it.
No, that's great. Like you always should do something. So I always think that. I mean, even if it's small or whatever, it's something that highlights that small win because people forget to do that. Speaking of food, what is food that you could eat for a week straight?
Burgers.
Yeah.
Burgers. Yeah, I love burgers. So
what is
a week straight.
So what is your
go-to
toppings on a burger?
So we have a restaurant here called Grilled in Australia. And without a doubt, every single time I've purchased a burger, it is the same burger. It is their Baba burger. It's a lamb burger.
Yeah.
But it's essentially got like the tomato relish, it's got like the avocado. It's an amazing like juicy lamb patty with it's great.
Yeah. Unlike when you guys like say like it's like a mustard relish and stuff like that, it's like I don't know if it's the same thing here, but like it's just the terms are different, so it's really funny. Like and like it's not common to have an avocado on a burger here, so it's kind of
see. Nick knows what I'm talking about.
Yeah, she does. Yeah, she does. The jalapeno poppers straight out could eat every day. That's funny. Okay, so here's a good one. A moment in motherhood that made you think I'm stronger than I thought.
It all of it. The sleep deprivation for sure.
Yeah.
Like the amount of sleep deprivation that I went through for an extensive period of time, I'm still not quite sure how I dealt with that. But I know that I just kept showing up because my kids needed me, and so there were times where I questioned my mental health going through that phase because it was I was decaying. I was decaying as a person, and I pulled through. So I'm here.
No, I get it. I like that. I like that answer. I always say, what is your go-to song that could take you out of a bad mood?
Damn.
I know, right? I put a lot of effort in some of these.
Go-to song. See, that's the thing. I don't know if I'd like just put on a particular song. I'd probably put on like a particular playlist.
That's fine. Yeah.
I have this beast playlist
Yeah.
I put together. on my Spotify, and essentially it's just made up with a bunch of artists, Nearly NF, NFX, and it's all about just I think it's all about like the mental conditioning, just you're going through a dark time, but you're gonna pull, and it's just that message that you're reprogramming your mind, and that's just what I do.
Yep. No, that's good. Is there one song that you would never ever get bored of? You could play over and over again.
I have a few artists in that category. I don't think I would ever put it down to like a song, because I ended up like, especially with NFX, through 2020 all the way to 2024.
Yeah.
I was in like the 0.05% of his viewers.
Yeah.
I was definitely playing that on repeat through those years.
No, I get that. Yeah. I love understanding, because I mean, like you always get to that song when I always say like I mean, I'm a little bit older, but not too much, so you understand the concept. But like the achy breaky heart is what I always say, is like the more you listen to a song, the more you fucking hate it. And so like, can you get away with listening to a song over and over again? And it's hard. I mean, it's very hard to say, this one particular song, or this one particular artist is different, because you have different music and they do that. But like, if you have to narrow it down to one song, it'd be hard, because it's like, there's no way I can love this song so much, and then like if that's the only song I can listen to, and then I'm at a month, I'm like, nah, I'm like fucking like pissed off. I can't listen to this over and over again. Kind of
I can give you the opposite. I
Okay.
can tell you there's a song that's been ruined for me forever because of my sister.
Yeah. Which one's that?
And that song is Beautiful from Akon.
Oh yeah.
So when
Yeah.
when she got her license, right, I was always like passing. So my older sister and I are 16 months apart.
Mhm.
Okay. And when she got her license, obviously, like, she was then our transport everywhere from there on in. And because she was the driver, we listened to what she wanted to listen to. And so every single school morning, Monday to Friday, for the half an hour drive to school, she would play that song on a repeat, just because she wanted to nail the rap. Like, when you listen to a song and you want to throw up, that is what happens now.
Like, I don't want to take it away from that artist, but it was because of my sister that did it, not because of the song itself. Yeah, I get that. I always had this joke. Well, like, me and my dad were always funny together before, like, he turned into a self. Whatever. Anyway, I'll just leave it at that. We used to go to this restaurant that had the little like, I would say like the jukeboxes, like they're little jukeboxes, but they're at the table, and you get to pick like the song, and then like that you put money in and you play the song for everybody or whatever. We used to play the same song 6 times in a row, whatever song we could find, 6 songs in a row, and then we find a new song that played the number in the 7th slot, and then everybody was like, yay, like, I'm so glad that song isn't on repeat. And then the 8th slot, it would go back to the first one at 7 just to piss somebody.
Oh, okay.
It's so funny. I used to do that at bars sometimes too. When you used to go to a jukebox, you play the same song for 6 in a row, and then different song, and everybody's like, "Oh, thank God, I don't have to listen to this song again." And they would go back to it. Like, everybody's like, "No." It's super funny.
I wouldn't want to experience that, but an experience I do want to have is being that DJ that goes to like an RSL or like a seniors community club, like a bowls club or something, and plays dubstep to them. I would love to do that.
Just to see the reaction. Yeah, I would love it. That'd be awesome. I mean, maybe not the DJ itself, just to see, like, peeking in the window and going, haha, that's funny. I'm gonna jet out here before something goes bad. Yeah, exactly. Speaking about celebrating the little wins, so what do you think is more rewarding? A flawless transition while you're DJing, or a nice, calm bedtime routine?
That's not a fair thing to say when
We
you
have
got kids.
so I mean, the balance is hard. It's hard.
It's not equal.
It's not equal. You're right. What would you rather celebrate? A flawless transition or being able to have a peaceful night, like into sleep?
Like, I'm not gonna lie, I low-key celebrate when it doesn't matter what night,
Yeah.
when the kids are put to bed
Yeah.
and they're put to bed successfully.
Yeah.
Like, you know that little cheer you do inside?
Yeah.
That's me every night.
Yeah. I know that one.
I guess, you know, when you're comparing the two, like I take the transitions for granted.
I definitely understand that. Yeah. Can you remember your first transition and songs that were part of it? Like you knew that you nailed. Can you remember that?
Low-key, yes. But it would have been like a playlist from Cheese's song selection.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, like I think, you know, once I started being able to, you know, put the songs together through the headset before bringing it in, that was like a moment where it was like, I'm getting it.
Yeah.
I got this. So 5.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I couldn't tell you the songs that it included, but yeah, like, you know, it's that little, you know, when you're getting something, like the little 3-year-old kid that like kicks a soccer ball without falling over for the first time and then cheers.
Yeah.
I feel like that.
So,
Yeah, I agree with that too. Yep. How long does it take you to find the right outfit for stream?
I'm actually not too bad. I'm not too bad when it comes to getting ready. You know, I'm not one of those girls that takes hours and hours to get ready. Like most of the time, like I'll get ready like half an hour before I go live. You know, so I sort of have a tendency to like think about my outfit beforehand and know like okay, this option or it's that option.
You mean how many times did she ask me which one? That's fair. Yeah, okay.
It's A or B, and I don't like asking him because he's like, oh, you gotta put it on, I need to see it visually. I don't want to put it on, just tell me this, that one.
You know what solves cheese? You know what solves that? I always say, take it off and let me see without it, and let me tell, and let me tell, and then they don't take it off, and like, okay, cool. Oh.
And so like, yeah, I'm not too bad. Like even like with the hair and makeup thing, I usually get ready pretty quick. It's not like an all day type thing. Like usually, you know, I'm feeding the kids breakfast. I mean dinner.
Yeah.
And setting them up like on a movie or something, you know, like the hour before I'm like due live, and then I'm like, okay, they're occupied. I guess I'll quickly get ready.
Yeah, I get that one too. All right, last one for you, and then we'll get out of here for YouTube, and then we'll sit out here for chat, and I give them a little bit moments, maybe pour a drink or something like that. So with all the stuff that happens through being parenthood, you have the good and the bad, and you balance the ugly, things like that, whatever. Like, if you could relive one moment as a parent, what would it be?
It's probably not a quick answer, but
good.
A real
That's the last
answer.
one. It's the last one, so take your time.
I feel like going through, especially the newborn twin phase, I was denied the capacity to be more present because I was essentially carrying the entire workload of raising 3 babies that were 2 years and under. And I didn't have anyone helping with the sleep load or anything like that, you know, and at the time, you know, my ex, who all he ever wanted was a family, he completely checked out when the twins arrived and was doing FIFO. So sometimes was gone for like up to 6 weeks at a time, you know. And what I largely hated about that period was the fact that I was just denied the capacity to be present and enjoy that phase. I felt like I was in survival the entire way through.
Yeah.
And so if I had a chance to go through that phase and be more present, it'd probably be that.
That's
But
cool.
obviously with support.
Yeah. Yeah, like the small changes could have made a huge difference, and it's funny how like something small like that could, change the whole outcome of everything for sure. Okay, so we're gonna give a little bit special for the people that are here live, but for those that are YouTube, I'm sorry, our time has come to an end here. But before we go, you want to let everybody know where to find you, like what are the nights that you normally stream, and give it to yours, and then we'll do the conversion for those that are in the States that catch you live as well. So obviously her name's been under her the whole time, so go follow her on that one. Yes, exactly, down there. Yeah, down there. Yeah, you had to look. I do that too. Like, if I point in the right direction? Yeah.
I'm too quick. I was quick. I wasn't right though.
All right, so where are you gonna find it? I mean, obviously you stream live on Twitch, so like obviously we know your name there. So what are the nights and what are like your common days that you stream?
So you can find me across Kick when LFG.TV comes back online. You'll find me there. I'm mainly on Twitch. I am playing essentially Friday, 7 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time for who knows how long.
Yeah.
And then I go again Saturday, p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. So I'm there pretty much every single Friday, every single Saturday.
So it's usually our Thursday night, Friday morning, and then Friday night into Saturday. That's usually for ours. Yeah.
Yes, and I will be doing a special stream coming up potentially this month, where we'll be celebrating, obviously reaching that 1K and doing the 24-hour stream. So details will be released over that.
No, that's cool. And then to find that out there, and we'll figure that out in a little bit. But if you want, we can always add the Discord link in the show notes. So if you want to go check out schedule or check out and join the communities and stuff like that, we'll put that out there as well. So for YouTube, I appreciate you. Thank you so much. Everybody is live. Thank you. We're not going anywhere. But for YouTube, thank you seriously so much. I appreciate it.